chosen ones, is your manifestation power dark or light? We've all heard the word manifestation thrown around like some universal cheat code. Think it, feel it, believe it, receive it. But what if I told you that manifestation isn't neutral, that it carries polarity? That every manifestation doesn't come from the same source, and every desire isn't born from light. You see, there are two currents of power in this universe, the current of light and the current of shadow. And every chosen one, whether they know it or not, is manifesting from one of these streams. The question isn't if you're manifesting, it's from which force are you pulling? Are you creating from your soul's alignment or from your ego's hunger? Most people don't even realize they're chosen. They go through life feeling different, sensing that something inside them doesn't quite match the world they've been dropped into. Maybe that's you. Maybe you've always felt like you were meant for something more, but no one could explain what or why. People told you to lower your expectations, to be realistic, to follow the blueprint. But your spirit kept whispering, no, there's something else. That whisper, that inner defiance, that's the mark. That's how we know you're one of us. But here's the twist. Being chosen doesn't mean you're automatically on the path of the light. It means you've been given power, and power must be directed. It must be disciplined, otherwise it mutates.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Let me ask you something that might shake your foundation. Have you ever gotten what you wanted and felt empty afterward? That's a sign that you were manifesting from the wrong current. You see, dark manifestation doesn't always look evil. Sometimes it looks like achievement, like status, like that relationship you thought would complete you. But it's hollow, because it wasn't born from your highest self, it was born from your wound. It was your pain doing the praying, your fear doing the scripting, and that kind of manifestation will always cost more than it gives. And yet we're not here to demonize the dark. Because here's the paradox, even the dark serves a divine purpose. The shadow teaches. It breaks illusions, it exposes what's unhealed. That's why some chosen ones must first walk the dark path to learn what power isn't, so they can later wield what is. Some of the strongest light workers were once deep in the shadow arts. They knew how to manipulate, how to seduce reality into giving them what they wanted. But eventually the price became too high. The victories felt like poison, and that's when the awakening begins. You might be in that place right now, caught between two realities. On one side, the version of you that knows how to bend the world to your will. On the other, the version of you that's surrendered to something higher, and you feel the tension in your body. You feel it in your relationships. You feel it in your results. You're beginning to question, is what I'm building actually mine, or is it just a mirror of my unhealed self? That question is sacred. That question is your doorway. So let's go even deeper, because this isn't about ethics or morality. This is about frequency. Light manifestations come from alignment. They don't require force. They arrive through resonance. But you don't chase them, you become the version of you that effortlessly receives them. There's no manipulation, no begging the universe, you just embodiment. But dark manifestations, they're transactional. They're often fast, seductive, intoxicating. They feed your ego, not your essence. They work, but they drain you. Because what you manifest from shadow must be sustained by shadow, and that's exhausting. So how do you know which power is flowing through you? Simple. Look at how you feel after you receive what you asked for. Do you feel expanded, or do you feel contracted? Do you feel more yourself, or somehow less? Do you feel peace, or does your mind immediately jump to the next desire, the next fix? The light expands, the shadow consumes. And if you're honest with yourself, you already know which one's been driving your life. But here's the beauty of it, you get to choose. Right now, this isn't about judgment. This is about clarity. You are a chosen one. You were born with access to manifestation energy that most people never tap into. But that power has to be purified, and purification doesn't mean perfection. It means awareness. It means asking yourself before every intention, who inside me is asking for this? My soul or my survival self? Because when it's your soul speaking, the manifestations that follow don't just serve you, they serve the collective. And that's the real test. That's how we separate light from dark. Not by appearances, but by impact. Does what you're creating awaken others? Or does it keep them asleep? Does it inspire liberation or imitation? But because the light doesn't just shine, it activates. It reminds others of who they are. It leads without needing followers. So the next time you feel that pull to manifest something, pause, breathe. Ask, will this make me more true or more trapped? Because here's the truth very few want to admit. Not every dream is divine. Some dreams are distractions, some goals are traps, and some desires are just wounds dressed up in vision boards. But the chosen ones, the real ones, we go deeper. We don't just ask what we want, we ask why. We ask who inside us is wanting. And when we get clear on that, everything changes. In the next part, Wadi Pranirdiya, we're going to explore the hidden architecture behind your manifestations, the spiritual mechanics that determine how and why things actually show up in your life. We'll expose the invisible contracts you've made with the unseen and how to rewrite them if they no longer align. Because it's not just about manifesting what you want, it's about becoming who you were sent here to be. Manifestation codes. Are you aligned with the soul's blueprint or the ego's illusion? Every time we manifest something, we are pulling from a potent, invisible architecture and energy grid that responds not just to what we say, but to who we are being in that moment. And here's the secret most people never talk about. Manifestation isn't just about desire. It's about identity. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are. And what you are is a complex equation of beliefs, emotions, intentions, karmic patterns, ancestral codes, soul contracts, and energetic alignment. So when we talk about manifestation, we're not just talking about vision boards and affirmations, we're talking about energetic integrity. Are you in alignment with your soul's blueprint, or are you operating from the illusion of the ego? This question cuts deep, because the ego is clever. It can disguise itself as spiritual. It can wrap itself in the robes of ambition and pretend it's doing divine work. It can use the language of the soul while running the programs of fear. That's why so many people are manifesting from a place of anxiety, insecurity, and lack, but calling it intention. They say, I want to manifest money, but underneath that is the fear of not being safe. They say, I want to manifest love, but underneath that is the terror of being alone. The universe doesn't respond to the words, it responds to the frequency, and your frequency doesn't lie. The soul's blueprint operates on a completely different set of codes. It doesn't chase, it attracts. It doesn't hustle, it aligns. It doesn't beg, it commands not with force, but with clarity. When you're in alignment with your soul's blueprint, manifestation becomes effortless not because you're doing more, but because you're being more true. You become a match for the reality that already exists in the quantum field. You don't force it into being, you tune into it. Like a radio dial, your vibration clicks into place, and suddenly what once felt far away becomes inevitable. But most of us weren't taught how to access that level of clarity. We were programmed by culture, trauma, and survival to manifest from illusion, and to chase symbols of success instead of substance. We use power to protect our wound instead of heal it. And that's where the split happens. That's when chosen ones start to realize there are two paths of manifestation and only one leads to liberation. The other leads to achievement with emptiness, glamour with no grounding, influence with no soul. And if you're not careful, you'll reach the top of the mountain only to realize it was never your mountain. So how do you know if you're operating from the soul or the ego? Ask yourself this: if no one ever saw what I manifested, would I still want it? So that question alone can shatter illusions. Because ego seeks applause, soul seeks expression. Ego wants to be seen, soul wants to see clearly. Ego builds to impress, soul builds to serve. And when you begin to tune into the soul's frequency, you'll notice something strange. Your desires begin to change. They become cleaner, simpler, less flashy, but more potent. You begin to want what you need, not just what you've been taught to covet. You stop chasing the projections of others and start listening to the whispers of your own design. This is where the codes begin to unlock. You start to recognize the energetic contracts you've made, many unconsciously. You see how you agreed to play small to make others comfortable, how you agreed to chase money to feel worthy, how you internalized the belief that struggle equals virtue. These old codes must be rewritten, and you rewrite them not just through intention but through action, and through embodiment, through becoming the living proof of a new paradigm. The chosen ones who step fully into their light manifestation power understand this. They don't just manifest things, they manifest realities. They become architects of new timelines. They collapse years of waiting into moments of alignment. And they do it not through force, but through responsibility. They know that every time they manifest from darkness, they feed the very illusion they came here to dismantle. So they pause, they purify, they root themselves in the truth of who they are. And from that place, what they create serves the whole, not just the self. But let's not pretend this is easy. The ego doesn't surrender without a fight. It will tempt you with shortcuts. It will offer you praise and power if you just abandon your path for a moment. It will whisper, no one will know, but your soul will. And once you've tasted the clarity of alignment, the noise of illusion becomes deafening. You can't go back to sleep. You can't unknow the truth. That's the burden and the blessing of awakening. You see the matrix for what it is, and you choose to transcend it anyway. So I ask you now, not to judge yourself, but to clarify, What are you really aligned with? Not what you say, not what you post, but what you embody when no one is watching. Because that's the frequency that's shaping your future. That's the code you're casting into the field. And if it's not clean, it won't last. If it's not true, it won't fulfill. You might get what you want, but it will leave you hungrier than before. In the next part, Baya Sopri, and he says, we'll dive into the subtle spiritual warfare that happens around manifestation, the unseen forces that either amplify or corrupt your power depending on what you align with. We'll expose how energy entities, ancestral imprints, and collective shadows hijack manifestation without your awareness. Because to truly master manifestation, you must know what's influencing your field. The spiritual battlefield, what forces are secretly influencing your manifestation power. Most people think manifestation is just about thought and emotion, as if the mind alone is the master key. But if you're truly one of the chosen, you know something deeper. Manifestation isn't just mental, it's spiritual terrain. It's a battlefield, a realm where unseen forces are constantly influencing your desires, your thoughts, your emotions, and even the outcomes of your intentions. We like to think we're the sole authors of our reality, but the truth is more layered. Much of what we think we want is whispered into us by energies we don't even realize we've allowed into our field. Whether it's unresolved ancestral trauma, parasitic energies feeding off your emotional chaos, or collective programs embedded into your subconscious, your manifestation power is never happening in a vacuum. It is always being influenced, amplified, distorted, or hijacked by forces you cannot see. This is why self-awareness is not enough. You must develop spiritual awareness. You must begin to ask, what energies are around me? What am I unconsciously in agreement with? What am I inviting into my auric field through my habits, my thoughts, and the environments I immerse myself in? Because every chosen one, whether they know it or not, is broadcasting a signal, and that signal attracts not just outcomes but entities. Some of those energies are allies, your guides, protectors, ancestors, and elevated aspects of your higher self. These beings support your growth, help align you with truth, and amplify your soul's intentions. But others, they feed off your unhealed parts. They anchor you in loops of scarcity, fear, lust, doubt. And the most dangerous part, they don't always show up as demons. Sometimes they show up as seductive opportunities, as dreams that seem aligned but are actually traps, as manifestations that look like blessings but come with spiritual contracts that drain you long after the goal is achieved. This is why discernment is the chosen one's greatest weapon. You must learn to read beyond appearances, to sense the energetic cost of what you're calling in. Not just, can I have this? But what is this connected to? What is the hidden source of this desire? What will this manifestation tether me to energetically? Because everything you manifest comes with a frequency signature. Every relationship, every opportunity, every outcome is an energetic transaction. And if you're not conscious of that, you'll unknowingly invite in attachments that block your soul's evolution. Let's go deeper. Some of the blocks you're facing aren't even yours. They're ancestral, passed down through bloodlines that never learned how to clear their own trauma. If your family carried generations of lack, fear, betrayal, or spiritual suppression, then your field may be imprinted with those codes. And when you try to manifest abundance, love, or freedom, something invisible resists it, not because you're unworthy, but because your lineage hasn't yet cleared the permission to hold that energy. This is what we mean when we say manifestation is spiritual warfare. You're not just creating your future, you're healing the past. You're breaking contracts made long before you were born. You're standing in the middle of ancient agreements and deciding, this ends with me. And it doesn't stop there. We must also address the collective field, the mass consciousness that we're all plugged into. Most of the world is vibrating in fear, distraction, comparison, and consumption. If you're not actively clearing and protecting your energy, you'll unconsciously sync with the dominant frequency around you. You'll start wanting what they want, fearing what they fear, chasing what doesn't belong to you. And then you'll wonder why your manifestations feel empty, why your soul feels numb, why no amount of success brings peace. It's because you've been hijacked. Your field has been infiltrated by collective noise, and the only way back is clearing, cleansing, returning to your own essence like a warrior reclaiming sacred ground. So I'll ask you now, not out of fear, but out of truth, who or what is influencing your field right now? What energies have you allowed to live rent-free in your aura? What are you manifesting that didn't originate from your soul? These questions are not easy, but they are necessary. Because if you don't guard your energy, something else will use it. If you don't direct your power, it will be redirected. And if you don't choose your frequency, it will be chosen for you. In the final part, we're going to bring it all together. You'll learn how to reclaim your field, purify your power, and step fully into your role as a conscious architect of reality. Not from ego, not from fear, but from soul-deep alignment. This is where manifestation becomes sacred, where you don't just change your life, you change the world around you. Sacred manifestation, how to reclaim your power and create from divine alignment. Now that you've seen the battlefield, felt the pull of both light and shadow, and recognized the invisible forces shaping your reality, the final step is the most powerful and the most demanding. This is the return to sacred manifestation. This is where you stop using your power just to survive or impress or achieve, and start using it to serve the divine within you. This is where you reclaim your field, cleanse your contracts, and become a conscious architect of reality, not as an ego chasing outcomes, but as a soul fulfilling its mission. To manifest from divine alignment, the first and deepest requirement is purity of intention, not perfection, not sainthood, but purity, meaning your desire is clean. It's not coming from fear, from lack, from proving something to the world. It's coming from a quiet knowing inside, a deep resonance that says, this is what I'm here to build. This is what I'm here to experience. This is what I'm here to gift to the world. When your desires become offerings instead of demands, the universe rushes to support you. Because you're no longer trying to bend reality to your will, you're merging your will with the divine current that's always been flowing through you. This is the moment you stop manifesting from the surface and begin manifesting from the source. You don't just set goals, you create sacred space. You don't just write affirmations, you write agreements with your higher self. You become ritualistic, not in a performative way, but in an intentional way. Every decision becomes a spell. Every word becomes a seed. Every action becomes a prayer. When you live like this, Manifestation is no longer a technique, it's your natural state. But that doesn't mean things will always come quickly or easily. Sometimes divine manifestation means waiting. It means surrendering timelines. It means trusting that what is delayed is being refined, not denied. That some blessings are too big to arrive through impatience. That the universe isn't punishing you, it's preparing you. Sacred manifestation is a dance between action and trust, between clarity and surrender, between vision and stillness. And the chosen ones who master it don't just manifest things, they manifest timelines. They collapse old realities and birth new ones, not just for themselves, but for everyone they touch. To fully reclaim your power, you must also clear your field. This is energetic hygiene. You must be willing to release the old dreams, the expired contracts, the toxic attachments, and even the identities you built around survival. You must grieve what no longer fits your frequency. You must forgive yourself for how you used your power in the past when you manifested from fear or ego or pain. And then, gently but firmly, you must choose again. Choose truth. Choose alignment. Choose to be a vessel, not just a seeker. Ask yourself, do I trust myself enough to create from peace, not pressure? Can I be devoted to what's true, even if it's not immediately profitable or popular? Can I build a life that's not just successful but sacred? Because that's the real challenge. Not just to manifest things, but to become the kind of being who holds power with reverence, who remembers that every creation echoes in the field, that what you build is what you become, and what you become is what you offer to the world. So this is it, the final question, the one that separates the chosen from the distracted. But will you use your manifestation power to amplify illusions or to awaken truth? Will you spend your energy chasing outcomes, or will you become the outcome the world needs to see? Because when you align with your soul's blueprint, when your field is clean, your intention is pure, and your actions are sacred, you don't just manifest abundance, you become abundance. You don't just attract love, you embody love. You don't just find purpose, you radiate purpose. And the world shifts around you because you remembered who you are. You are a chosen one, not because you're better than others, but because you were called to remember sooner, to awaken faster, to embody deeper. And now you know manifestation isn't just a tool, it's a test. And you're ready to pass it not by force, but by frequency. Not by chasing light, but by becoming it. Now go and create. The world has been waiting for your vibration to lead.